What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Raptors 2K podcast, brought to you by our fine friends at UberEats. This is episode number 8. We are, of course, back at it again. And Shane, I don't know about you, man, but it feels like, as you were pointing out before we even started, we've been at it for like a year, getting our episodes out, man. How you feeling? We're episode 8 now.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we should be double that at this point in time, but it's been tough. Me and you were both kind of flying around. Last time I saw you was what city was that even in? Were we in Dallas? What city were we in?
We were in Arlington, actually.
Yeah, Arlington, where the Arlington Esports Arena is for Dreamcon. That was a cool little run-in. I was hanging out in a booth and I just saw my man Phil ripping by, and we got to stop and have a good quick chat. That was a great event, man. I don't know about you, but like I've been to a lot of industry events, and obviously I think it helps that RDC is so heavily involved in it. But I've never seen an event where it's kind of like it's like a medium scale event. I would say definitely thousands of people, but not like the scale of like a PAX or like a BlizzCon or anything like that. And like just like a really high concentration of influencers. Like if you're into kind of like that, side of the internet, if you're into like the AMP, RDC, kind of content live stream community, I don't think there's a better place you could go as a fan to like just get like full access to influencers and celebrities. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree. It's because DreamCon's in one of those interesting spots where it's not as big as like a TwitchCon or a PAX like you mentioned, but it's not like some small little local thing, right? Like it's obviously got some buzz behind it. It's got some great influencers powering it, and it still it maintains that like natural, legit feel. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's just kind of roped off. You can meet your favorite creators, plenty of activities to do, and just have a good time. So I'm a big fan of DreamCon. I hope they only continue to get bigger and better and just keep that that wholesomeness to it as well, because I really enjoyed that event. It was my first one, but it definitely won't be my last.
Yeah, likewise. I honestly, I'll admit, prior to working with AMP this year, I had never heard of DreamCon, and I
Yeah.
had a blast myself. And yeah, I was just kind of walking around looking at all like the photo opportunities people were having, and I thought, man, if I were a young fan, this is exactly the event I would want to be at. So, no free ads, but for anyone out there listening, if you're into AMP, RDC, all that kind of stuff, definitely Rage, Dion, Bruce, all of them were there. Definitely a great event to check out. I highly recommend it. I had a great time.
Yes, sir. Couldn't co-sign it any harder than that, my guy, for sure. But what are we getting into today for the podcast, my man? I think we have a pretty big guest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's, my man Sam Pham. Haven't spoken with him honestly in a little while. I've been kind of consulting the the Raptors Uprising team here and there
Yep.
while over at AMP. But Sam and I used to work really closely together. We collaborated on the first ever like Team Canada 2K team. So Canada Basketball had reached out to me, asked me to manage the team, and I was always a fan of Sam and what he was doing in the 2K league. He was previously the head coach of Bucks Gaming. And so he and I got our first chance to kind of work together on that national program. And when we kind of spotted that we needed some help on the scouting and kind of coaching side of things, Sam was the first name on my list, and he's been working with Raptors Uprising ever since.
I love to hear it, man. It's all about, I mean, for something like this, I feel like it's always it's always about the experience, right? And Shane, you have a good eye for talent, so this doesn't really surprise me. Hell, you recruited me, so obviously we know that to be the case. We know that to be the case, my guy. And one thing about me, I like a good meal. So what are we eating today, Shane? What's going on for the Uber picks, the Uber Eat
See, that's
picks?
exactly why I recruited you, because I knew you would make sure that we hit those partner deliverables. Yeah, shout out Uber Eats. I've said this multiple times on the podcast, but I am a regular. I subscribe to the Uber Pass. I use it all the time, and I was up north on the weekend, and I was binging fudge and all kinds of delicious things that my family brought up for snacks. So I'm trying to keep it light. So I think I'm going to do a chicken salad today. There's like a great
Chicken salad, that's
kind of
fair.
great Middle Eastern place around the corner that has awesome chicken salads. And also point out, this is the first time I'm not standing. I don't know if anyone is even going to notice, but I've been like at a standing desk forever, and I've finally given up, and I'm back to sitting in a chair again. I think my knees just couldn't hold up. I'm getting old, Phil, and I was getting all kinds of knee problems. And I went to the doctor, and he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not even running, because when I run, my knees are so sore I can't do it anymore, and I feel like I'm just doing damage. And I was like, but I do stand for like 8+ hours a day, and if I'm gaming at night, even longer. Because the one thing I can't shake is that I stand while I game now. I've just gotten so comfortable with my standing
Yeah.
stance that I can't go back to it. Like, I don't know if you feel this. I know you're more of a controller gamer, right? Are you mouse and keyboard at all? Any games you play mouse and keyboard?
I can go back and forth.
Okay, fair enough. Well, growing up, like as a Counter-Strike player, I was constantly fidgeting with my armrests up and down. I felt like I could never get my mouse and keyboard in that exact, comfortable stance. And now that I have my standing desk kind of at a locked position, I know exactly where I want to be. I've lost all of that like fidgety kind of discomfort. So I don't think I'll ever go back to sitting when I game. But for now, throughout
Yeah.
the workday, I'm back in a chair like a normal person.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with admitting you're getting older, okay? Since we started this, what have I been doing? I've been sitting, okay? And there's a reason for that. I'm over 30. I know my limitations, okay? And I'm comfortable with that. And I get my steps in where they count. So I'm not mad at you at all. But I had a little bit of a heavy meals as well last couple of days because some friends were visiting. So you go out, you have a good time. So I myself too am going to go on the lighter side. I'm actually going to get a poke bowl from this awesome place up the street that I found maybe like last week or so. But I don't know. Poke to me is definitely hits the spot. It's got all the protein I'm looking for, some good assortment of toppings, and it just hits. That spicy mayo. I don't know what they put in that, but give me more of that. So that's
Are
what
you
I'm
doing
going for.
tuna with spicy mayo?
I'm doing I got salmon, a scoop of salmon, a scoop of tuna, a scoop of
Oh,
albacore,
nice.
and a scoop of crab meat. So
Wow,
good to
wow,
go.
wow, yeah. I'm a big spicy tuna guy myself. I don't know if it's poke. You say poke, you're in LA, you probably know better than I do, but they don't have any of that out my way. You can go downtown
I don't
Toronto.
know.
I'm in the burbs, like 30 minutes west of the city, and there's no poke. I don't know how to say it, spot around me. So I'm a little jealous of you right now. I'm not gonna lie.
That's tough, man. That's tough. The price you pay to live in a big city like that. I say that as I'm right next to LA. But the price, don't worry about that. We don't have to get into the details of that one for sure. As always, I'm expecting your food to get here before me, but that's
It's funny
okay.
how it always works like
That's
that, right?
okay. Yeah, it's
What a
wild how that just
coincidence.
kind of always happens.
Every
But
single time.
you just got it together every
It's that
time.
LA
Maybe
traffic,
today
I
will be
guess.
different. You never know. I have no doubt that you're going to win again. But with that said, it's all good because you know who's going to be here before all the food. Okay, our guest is going to be joining us. So I mean, whenever he's ready to switch over to the 3 box and come join us, Sam Fam, I would love to have him. Oh, he's right there. Look at that.
There
I'm
he is, looking
talking, and then he just
looking
pops
stoic as
up.
ever.
There you go, Sam Fam. How you doing, man?
Hi
Welcome to
guys,
the show.
I'm good. Happy to be here. I love UberEats. I use it every day. It's
Yeah,
been like probably too much, but it's been great.
All right,
there you
whoever's
go.
listening in the background, Sam hit his $50 bonus for plugging the sponsor, so make
Hmm.
sure we get that to him in his invoice next month.
Oh,
What's up, Sam? Good
I
to
didn't
chat
know
with
that.
you again, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Shane, and also Phil. It's been a while.
Yeah, man, definitely a pleasure to have you here, man, for sure. I mean, we know obviously know you're pretty busy, so thanks for taking some time to hang out with us for sure, man. How have your 2K ventures been thus far?
Over the last year, it's been pretty good. So I was able to finally work for the Raptors uprising. So I'm Canadian, so that's a big deal. Being able to offer a Canadian team. And then also the YouTube stuff is also 2K has been really growing, and then there's more and more of a demand for more tutorials, more data, more explanations. So been doing that with 2K Lab also. So all of that combined is just it's like a full time career now. So that's amazing to me. I never expected this when I first started, but now it's like a full fledged thing and like busy all year long. So it's been good. I enjoy the work.
Sam, we like to roast each other a little bit around here because I've had a lot of calls with Sam over the couple of years that we've been working together. It always blows my mind that as a content creator himself and a no cam content creator, his mic always sounds like he's underwater. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on.
That's a little low.
I
I don't know
asked
about
Johnny.
underwater.
He told me it sounded okay. Hold on.
There's
I'm
a
bullying Sam. You're fine.
palatable difference between Phil's and Sam's mics. But Sam, you're coming through clear enough, so we can definitely have a good conversation here. But what's been going on with Raptors Uprising? So you're the assistant coach of Raptors Uprising. Again, I know the history there. Again, recruited you like last off season to come in and really help us with our YouTube channel. Maybe a little bit of history for those who are kind of tuning in. More recently, we've been leading the charge, I would say, for years in the 2K League when it comes to content. But most of our content was tailored to Twitter, Instagram, etc. We really didn't know what we were doing on YouTube, and I was pretty envious of the Pacers because Cody and Spencer over there really did an awesome job of growing like an organic YouTube channel by creating content that 2K fans wanted. So I think it was like less 2K League focused and more like build focused and more sort of general retail 2K focused. But was always envious of them, and so identified and in fact I'll give credit where due because a lot of people have hit me up over the years for jobs. Few have come in with such a tailored pitch that so perfectly hit on pain points as Sam. I wasn't 100% sure that we needed to hire anyone to do what we ultimately hired Sam to do, but he hit me up. He's like, hey, I want to have a quick call. I hopped on, and man, it was like one of the best pitches I've gotten from a candidate kind of seeking a job. Immediately called my boss Sumit and was like, hey, I think we should bring Sam on. He's made a lot of good points and can really add value not only to our YouTube channel but also in helping us scout the pro-am community and kind of get ready for the next draft. So I'm sure you remember that vividly, Sam, but for what it's worth, that was really a great job. Very well done by you.
And the channel's been going good, so we went from pretty much really nothing much on the channel to like we're monetized and we're really getting ready for 2K23 too. So I still think for the league, players need to do YouTube. That's how 2K has always been.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look at what
Yeah.
I'm doing now with AMP, right? All those guys got started in 2K
Right.
YouTube, or at least most of them got started creating 2K content on YouTube, and now we've kind of since branched off and become more of like a lifestyle collective. But certainly, there's a lot of opportunity in 2K, and I think 2K kind of had a little bit of a downturn on YouTube at the beginning of this year. But hearing from you that things are kind of getting going again, I'm excited about that, and we're certainly kicking tires on some stuff that we might do over at AMP with 2K next year as well.
Yeah, new gen is going to be bigger this year because last season it's tough for 2K22 because there's old gen, new gen. That's always usually a problem every time that happens. But much more new gen now, so it's going to be a good year. Hopefully.
But no
And
crossplay, I
this
heard.
season,
Still no crossplay?
no, not yet. They haven't talked about it. But there's going to be more new gen focus. And then, but it works perfectly with the 2K League, right? Because 2K League off season is 2K launch season, so like it just flows really well. So as long as we take good advantage of that, the momentum should carry over and hopefully help the Raptors Uprising channel grow, but at the same time also help the league grow, which would be big.
For sure. And
I have
maybe
a
for those
question
who are
for.
tuning in. Yeah, go ahead, Phil. You're the host. I'm stepping on your
No,
toes.
that's fine. I just had a question for both of you.
Yeah.
What is it about the general uh conception amongst like the 2K players? How come all of them don't just have YouTube channels and just like try and blow up like that? Like I don't get it to me. You know what I mean? Like you have such like a potential like big audience right there that you could just capture for your own personal brand and obviously help your team out. Like, do you guys like know why sometimes players are just lax on that?
I can probably speak closely to that because I'm a lot older than these guys, but I used to do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the older competitive stuff, which is like the forum, the website, the Facebook groups. I did all that. But to transition into content, the difficult part is it's three things. You need editing, you need speaking skills, and you also need a little bit of graphic design skills for the thumbnails and also the videos itself. So a lot of these guys, they're so good at the game, they need to invest a lot of time playing the game. But to start making videos, you need to acquire the skills. Where the code is. I made transition myself, but it's a lot of time in it, and there's also a lot of fail and like ups and downs. But they should be able to do it, especially nowadays when the technology is a lot easier. Like when I was editing, it wasn't like this. So they
Yeah.
just need a little bit more help. And that's what we're doing over at Raptors, right? Because I manage the channel themselves. And if our players want to come in, I can help them, content direction, teach them some of the editing skills. It's more so they just need to acquire the skills. And it's not like I know the community is always like, oh, these guys are a little bit lazy. Why don't they do all that? But at the same time, it's time investment. You need time to be top tier in the game, but then you also need to acquire the skills to make content. And to make top tier content, it's the same thing. You need more time. It's only 24 hours in a day. So if you want to do it full time, like a professional player and a good content creator, I don't think that really. Bear's been doing okay, but I would say he has a lot of help too. So these guys need help at the same time. They need to put in the time. But it's season 4 now and going into season 5 and then season 6. I would say it's good for Raptors players because the 2-0s are there, and I'll definitely help these guys, especially in 2K23, to take advantage of that setup. But it needs to be done because, like Shane said, a lot of these really popular social media personalities now, like all of the AMP guys, they started out in 2K. There's no reason 2K League players won't be able to achieve that also because they have more resources. Like when Agent started, it was literally Agent. Like I think me and Agent started at the same time, different directions. He's also much better than I am, but he also started with very little help. So the pro players, hopefully, we can get it together, and hopefully I can lead the charge in that, and I can build something, especially through the Raptors channel, and then we can set an example and go from there.
I've realized through this that last conversation that it's not that your mic's underwater. I think there's some latency issues, and you record offline, so that's probably why it sounds so clean on YouTube, because we hit a couple latency moments there. But Sam, for those who don't know, why don't you walk us through your background? Because I know the history, and you got a really diverse and experienced background in 2K, and walk us through how you got started, and then maybe your transition into the 2K League.
So I think I started posting YouTube about 6 years ago. I'm a lot older than I look. I'm 36. So I had like a whole career before all this.
Wow, you're aging gracefully. I just want to throw that out there.
Dude, I actually had no idea. That is shocking to me too.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You're a year older than me. That's
What?
crazy. I had no clue.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I'm really old. I'm old.
we're both really old by 2K and gamer standards. And
Right,
YouTube
in this
standards.
industry, I'm like a fossil. Like
Yeah,
I'm
Duke's
old.
27 and gets ripped on all the time for pushing 30, and yeah, as a 35-year-old who's reading all the notifications, it's not exactly great for the ego.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I started. I've always been playing 2K. Like I played ever since I was like 15. But I did the basic thing. I went to university. I had a job. I did all that, and YouTube wasn't like a big thing back then, so it wasn't going to pay the bills. So I didn't really do it. But then once my career was going pretty well, I kind of transitioned. I had like a little bit of time to think what I want to do next, and then I really dive into the YouTube. So I started out on the forums posting, just comments, tips for fun, like for groups. It was like on Operation Sports. This is old school. And then some of the guys started asking for, hey Sam, can you post some clips? And then obviously I posted the clips on YouTube just to show people like how I play or what kind of strategies I use. Those videos kind of blew up. What blew up by that standard it was like 3,000 views. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do this full time. So then I invested the time. I got the editing software, and then I started posting tutorials in I think 2K16. And I caught my big break because back then there was a lot of wagers on my team, and it was the older creators like the two hype guys. So it was like Agent, not Agent, Agent AMP. Agent wasn't really in that scene. The wagering was Cash Nasty and Jesse and them, and then I was the one that helped them with their gameplay. So I would make sure like they're being competitive, they're playing well, they're using the best strategies possible. And then because they had such a big following, I got introduced to their fan base. And then I kind of became like, oh, hey, Sam's the guy that helped these big YouTubers with their game. And then I became the guy that did the tutorials. And then eventually, I also caught on with 2K Labs. So they're pretty big tutorial, jumper-based, analytics and statistics side of the game. And then it's just been going on there ever since. And then in between all that, I also got caught on with the Bucks for the 2K League because I had a pretty big following on Reddit. And then a few of the 2K League teams, I think they caught me on there. It was the Sixers and the Bucks that reached out first. And then Raptors, we also talked and we also reached out. And then I ended up with the Bucks simply because they asked first. So then I got caught on with the Bucks, and then I did the season with them. I did the scouting, I made the videos, and then that was probably for 3 seasons. And then Raptors now. So that's pretty much 6 years. So all of that took 6 years. I went from posting on forums, video clips on forums 6 years ago to now.
Well, I don't think that's a bad little 6-year plan, to be quite honest with you. I think the biggest thing is it all came full circle and you ended up where you wanted to be, working for a Canadian team. I think that's just perfect. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and speaking of which, Sam, have you heard anything about FIBA doing more 2K stuff? I don't know if I've just fallen out of touch with it, but it doesn't seem like there's anything cooking there.
They really slowed down. So they had that first one, and then they had that second one. It was going pretty good. It just quieted down, and and they weren't really looking anymore. Hopefully they bring that back. I think that was pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, well, it definitely. I mean, I think it gives people something to root for, right? Which is great. Like the support that like the Dominican team had, for instance, was amazing when they kind of like unexpectedly did as well as they were doing. I would love to see FIBA get back in. I just think that they need to grab some of the 2K League casting, commentating talent if they want to put on
Mm.
like a really good production, from my perspective.
Facts.
So, Sam, obviously, I know the process we went through in the off season, how we kind of used our assets, the team we built, and honestly, how confident we were heading into this season with the team. And, I don't think it would be a stretch to say that we've kind of fallen short of expectations, our own internal expectations, and probably the fans' expectations. And at some point in the season, we decided we had to make a trade, and we shipped Dimes out to the Bucks, who have since really turned their season around, and I'm happy about that. I know Dimes, how much he has invested in 2K, and even though it didn't work out here, still a big fan of his as a person and a player. And we brought in Plondo, a guy who you're familiar with from when from your time with the Bucks. What's your kind of analysis of the team? Where we went wrong, what is working. I'll just wrap by saying, we have had some wins lately. So the wins were really hard to come by for most of the season, but down the stretch here, we've found some wins. And, I know that you and Kev Franklin have used more 3v3 lineup combinations than any team in the league. And we have a rookie point guard in Fanta who came from stage, but really was more of like a, ISO kind of dribble god rather than, really a team player, which I think we all thought would be the meta in 2K League 3v3. But as we saw, like teams like the Wizards, who really don't have like an elite point guard, were able to find success in 3v3. And so it proved to play more like, the 2K League has traditionally rather than, playing like the stage meta. So kind of, a lot to unpack there, but I'll turn it over to you because you're always full of insight. What's your kind of analysis on the team? What are our strengths, our weaknesses, where we went wrong? How things might turn around here as we still head into the ticket. What are your thoughts?
So going in right now, we're suffering through growing pains. Like coming in, we wanted to bring in like obviously Fanta. We want to bring in a high usage guard and then have him do majority of the scoring, carry the load, especially in 3v3. But like you alluded to, the game, especially since season 3, the point guard usage has been trending downwards, especially this year. So it's a really team oriented game. So then Fanta is like having like a tough time so far adjusting to that, but we're helping him. But he's closing out the season better. It started out well, and then the growing pains really came in between. So how we're adjusting now is he's carrying the load better. He's changing the style of play, and then the success is coming lately. The momentum is picking up. But I was the struggle right now. We have growing pains adjusting to his old heavy user style to more of a team game. That's where the struggling is coming from. But we're helping him. He's growing though, and he's very young. So bringing in a young guard like that, that's also what we're seeing. And he has close to little to he has no league experience coming in. So
Yeah, it's
especially
got to be
game
like
mode. Not.
it's got to be something like
Oh, go ahead.
like an investment, right? Like it's not necessarily instant gratification, but something you guys think you can keep correcting and work towards, and just like I mean, even as you say right now, kind of turn things around, propel yourself well into the ticket, and even like a season beyond that, right? Like it's not just like instant, but
But our team makeup is interesting. We have 4 veterans surrounding like a true rookie. So hopefully the defense is going to be solid because of the veterans, but we're going to need more development, and then just quicker adjustments. Hopefully for Fanta, and then hopefully to close out the season, John. We've been heading in that direction, so that part I'm glad
yeah.
that we're trending upwards.
And that was the plan, right? Coming in, we had we had Kenny and Type and Dimes, and so we knew we had 2 guys who have played point guard in the league. Dimes, drafted first overall in the first ever draft. Really, was a point guard in the beginning of his career. Tried a couple different positions, moved to shooting guard, etc., with different lineups down in Dallas. But we had a bunch of point guards, and we also had a really high pick. And it was kind of like we were right on the fringe of being just because so many teams needed point guards this year. We were just outside of the territory of getting kind of those, unanimous, top high potential point guards. And so we had to look for someone who probably had, some strengths as well as some weaknesses or some areas that we would need to develop. And the whole thought was, if we could get Dimes to play center, given his, ability to kind of see the floor and help floor general on offense, that a younger, less experienced, maybe more ball dominant guard like Fanta could kind of thrive under those conditions. And then we also knew that, if we used our picks the way that it looked like we were going to, we would be drafting well outside of the kind of elite lock territory. And so, again, expectations were super high. With a guy like Kenny feels like a natural two guard for us. With a guy like Fanta, who, as you alluded to, we felt could come in and score the ball at a fast clip. And then, Type and Dimes in the front court. I mean, Dimes was sort of showing us that he could very quickly pick up center, in the retail side of the game. And Type's experience and abilities kind of speak for itself. We didn't want to have a weakness at lock, and so we ended up trading up with the Lakers to get Saint. And I know Saint is if one of, if not the most skilled guys on the roster right now. So it felt good. I don't know. I'm sure you feel the same way. It felt good to beat the Lakers in that game recently to kind of show that that trade was a good trade for us to make. But it's just unfortunate the way things shake out. And I wonder, had that first 5v5 tournament not ended in a best of one in Indy like it had, might the team have had a little bit more momentum? Because as you said, we started off really well. Like, we got into that first tournament. I think everyone was riding a high heading into Indy. I don't know why you would ever have a LAN tournament with a best of one opening round, but they did. And
Yeah,
it was a
that's
kind of
silly.
a back and forth game. And, then we were out, and it just felt like it really kind of clipped our wings. And, again, it's unfortunate it didn't work out with Dimes, because I think if we had been able to figure out the off court stuff, in game, there was just a lot of skill on that team. And I really, had confidence that, the Fanta could have thrived, under that environment. But obviously, it's like putting a puzzle together, and sometimes the out of game dynamics, come into play and kind of affect the in game dynamics. Anyway, not much of a question there for you, more of my own observations, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. And, might things have gone differently had we had a best of three and actually gotten a little deeper into that first tournament?
And after that tournament, probably the most clear sign of our growing pains is we lost 5 games that was 1 to 2 possessions. A couple of the games we lost by 2 points and 1 point.
I remember that
That's the
too.
growing pain part. And
I
so
remember that too. I remember
Yeah.
coming
those
into
are
the
tough.
calls being like, guys, remember the margins by which we're losing. Like, these are coin tosses,
It's
and the
so
coin
good. Yeah.
tosses, the 50-50s just keep coming up, on the wrong flip for us. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate.
We lost 5 50-50 games, but that's part of the growing pain. And some of that was self-induced, just some clock management, and the decision making. That's the growing pain part.
So I know they pay you to say yes, but what do you think our chances are in these ticket, and then what the 3v3 is called, the steal and the ticket? Is that what it is this year?
Yeah, the 3v3 one is called Steel, and then the regular one, 5v5, is still called the ticket. Uh, they pay me to say yes, but I do like our chances in both, because we've been winning on, like, 5v5. We closed out playing one of the top teams in the East, like a top 3 team in the East, and that was literally, once again, we lost by 1 to 2 possessions. It was literally a 1 possession game with 32 seconds to go, and then there was a loose ball. We didn't get it. They got it. So going in the direction there. 3v3, we're really picking up momentum. Santa, last 2 games especially, scored like close to 90 points. He's really picking up. The new system has been working for him. So the momentum is good. So heading into both, we're confident. And it does feel like the defense has always been there all year long, and now the offense is kind of catching up. So that's big, because our defense has been solid all year. And then with the offense catching up, I like our chances. And we beat a lot of the top teams, like Heat, Sixers, top playoff teams in the East. We're able to beat them. We lose the close games to the non-playoff teams. So we're playing non-playoff teams, obviously, in the ticket, and we already lost close game before. So statistically, we shouldn't lose twice. So I like the odds on there too. There's no way we keep losing these close games to non-playoff teams. We beat the playoff teams. We lose close games to non-playoff teams. So I like it there too. I like the odds on that end.
And I
I
saw the
like
bracket.
playing the odds
Go
on
ahead, Phil.
that
I've
for
been
sure.
hogging all the
And just
airwaves
to
here.
No, just to interject real quick. I mean, we're talking about playing the odds. I want you guys to get active with the odds on this promo code for this. For those of you listening right now, you can send a Twitter DM to @RaptorsGC with the phrase Uber Eats Coach Sam. First three people to do this will receive a $25 Uber Eats gift card, and you can go ahead and use that for a nice meal during the next Raptors Uprising match. It's open to Canadian listeners only, so for my friends in the Great White North, there you go.
There you go. Raptors Uprising and our partners always blessing our audience with lots of perks and gifts and stuff like that. It's always a fun part of doing the job here.
Definitely.
Sam, I saw the bracket for the Steel. Our first round opponent is Gen G, right? We just beat them in our 3v3 game, did we not?
Yes, we did. We beat them 3-1, and it was a good series. It was good for us, and then so we'll be playing them again, and then after that we'll be likely playing another team that it'll be Hornets and another team like the Nets and the Heat are in the other bracket. So those teams we have previously lost very close games to, but they're on the bracket above us. So
So we
I
would
would
only
say
play
the
them in the
bracket
finals.
got right, and only one of them, not both.
Right. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm excited. I'll be tuning in. I mean, nothing would be more satisfying than a Cinderella story. We've done it before here at Raptors Uprising. We did it in season 1. We came from the basement. We figured it out.
Never
We went into the
forget.
playoffs. Yeah, and I'll tell you, the 2K League best of 1 tournaments. I think the only 2 times they've had best of 1 in the tournament was that first round of the playoffs in season 1, and then the tournaments here this year in Indy, and they got us both times. So I think we're due. If the guys make it to Indy, even if I have to pay my own way, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna come root them on for sure.
I like that, Shane. That's right. That's the kind of instilled confidence that players need. Like, yeah, your boy's coming through no matter what. That's a W.
Yeah, I'll
Love it.
see if maybe I can get my
Yeah,
guy
and
Agent Zero over there.
both will be in person too. So both the ticket and the steal will both be at Indy. So that should favor us also. We're a pretty good energetic team. So I like our chances in like a face-to-face scenario with all of
Yeah,
that.
well, we just had that right at the Bell Gaming Center. We had
Right.
supporters night, Tangerine supporters night, and there was like 50 people came in to be a part of a live game experience. And I saw Saint tweet that that was his most fun. I don't know if it was regular season or ever game experience because of the fans being in the facility with them. And yeah, I mean, again, going back to that strategy as we were scheming in the off season, having all these guys with experience around Fanta, we really felt like our guys would come to life, on stage. And with Fanta, he's used to playing for a huge audience because he's got his own stream, and so he came up playing 2K for
Yep.
a live stream audience, and so I think very little concern that he would buckle under that pressure. So that'd be amazing, man. What a great turnaround that would be for you and Kev. I know how hard you all have been working this year on trying to get the team right, and like you said, when you lose those close 50-50 games, it really hurts. I remember what that was like in season 1 when we just kept losing games and we were slipping deeper and deeper in the standings, and how good it felt when we turned things around. I would say the turnaround actually felt better than the perfect season, because the perfect season we were just riding such a high,
Right.
and then the losing in the semifinals, and not getting a ring hurt so bad. I would say that probably the best experience I had was that Cinderella run in season 1.
It's always the turnaround seasons that feel great. Like previously, I had that with the Bucks experience too. Those are always two of the best. But like you talk about the event that happened previously, that was great. That felt like a legit home court advantage, because when you play these games, you might be at home, but it's like a virtual home court, right? It doesn't really do anything for you. But like when we had all the fans coming in that day in that Lakers series, like I felt the energy, and it felt like the guys also picked it up. Like adversity didn't seem like as bad because there's so much support. Like the home court advantage is there, so that was really cool. I hope we can do that more often.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, again, I'm on the morning syncs with the guys, and I know they're planning to get some more watch parties going at the facility. So it's awesome that we're outside of like the confines of a residential neighborhood. The Bell Five House, as we've talked about in the past, was amazing, but now that we're in more of a centrally located facility in Toronto, right on the X grounds there, it just creates so much more opportunity. And also, we're coming through the tail end of the pandemic here and able to open our doors to more people. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and the facility is so nice. So you have that perfect section where the players are playing, and then the fans can like have their own section. It's just laid out so perfectly. Like I feel the energy. It was
I
crazy.
need to see this, man. I just see what I see on video. Get an in person return, man.
You got to
I mean,
see
yeah,
the before photos. It was just like a bunch of cubicles in that space, and not to take too much credit, but there were like 3 or 4 different places that they had sort of lined up for us to look at one day. And I walked into that spot, and I was like, I don't need to see anything else. This is perfect. I see exactly how we're going to lay this
really,
room out. Kind of pointed it out to my boss. We went around and checked out the other spots, but the whole time I'm like, no, no, that first spot. If we can do what we wanted to do, and believe me, there was a lot of renovations. Like it used to have this really nasty drop tile ceiling, and we kind of poked our heads up and there were these really cool exposed beams. But when I tell you like thousands of wires, like just like a nest of wires all running through the drop tile ceiling, we had to pull all that out, clean it all up. Obviously, everything got completely refinished and whatnot. So it was a big undertaking. And the team was doing that literally like in the 2 months leading into the season. So it was a bit of a last minute project. Sam, we always look for hot takes here, and so I think if I'm looking at the notes that Johnny put together, shout out Johnny, always working hard behind the scenes for Raptors Uprising. I think there's a bunch of good
Artie.
questions here that might turn into good clips for social, which is ultimately what this podcast is. I mean, shout out to everyone who listens to the full length versions, but truly what we're looking for here is little sound bites for social. So let's put you on the spot, Sam. Don't hold anything back, even though you're an employee of Raptors Uprising. The spicier, the better. I'll ask the first one. Phil, you can get to the next one. Who, and be honest, doesn't have to be a Raptors Uprising player. Who is your favorite player that you've ever coached and why?
Oh, that is a good one. There's been a few. I would say first one that comes right on top of my head. It's Type, because with
Shout
Type
out
it's
type.
interesting because I've only been with Type obviously for this season, but previously I've only heard about Type from outside the league. And Type, he would tell you himself, he had a really good run with the Golden State Warriors, and he got to Hornets, and then there were some issues, and then went to the Raptors, and then I get to experience Raptors Type, firsthand. So with Type, it's hearsay, and then also my personal experience, and it does feel like he has really grown a lot as a professional and as a person, and his skills has always been up there. So for me, it's great to see a player like that because he grew throughout the seasons. Like he went from like a player that caused some problems to now who is a true professional, and I just really enjoy spending time with him. It's just nice to see what he has become, and then also the reclamation project that the Raptors done previously with him, and how that changed him personally too. Like he's good at the game, and he's also become a better person. So being able to coach someone and work with someone like that, it's been a very rewarding experience to me. So Type.
Yeah, I'm going to co-sign that.
Wow,
We
like,
we picked up Type, the season that he had been suspended. He had his
yep.
transgressions with the Hornets, but he was like the quote, best defensive center in the league, and maybe overplayed our hand a little bit. Like Timely Cook and Jerry were sick. Were having some issues, and we had a perfect season, but we lost in the semifinals. So we were like, is there room for improvement? And kind of thought, well, and Timely was a big fan of Type, and so started having some conversations with them. And I thought, what, we have a lot of veteran leaders on the team. I was confident if we brought him in here, we'd run a tight enough ship that we could probably avoid some of the issues that got him suspended. And he came in and man, like we had our issues. Like there were shouting matches that early on between he and I on calls, and those calls started off really hot, and 90 minutes in I was giving him life advice, and then I'd see him a week later tweeting some of the insights and that I had shared with him, and he really took it seriously. I talked to him about practicing meditation, and he'd hit me up saying he had taken that on. And I agree with you, man. He is a person who is looking for guidance and takes it really seriously. I've tried to instill wisdom. Not that I am the judge and jury on what wisdom is, but just from my own life experience, and it's often in one ear out the other. And with Type, you could really see that he was absorbing it, and so glad to hear that even after I've left, the leadership team still feels that way about him. And especially through such a stressful season as the one that we're having now, right, where nobody's making prize money. I mean, that can really weigh on the guys. And yeah, shout out Type, just a great dude who I think isn't deserving of some of the reputation that he has, and hopefully others around the league listen to this and recognize that he really is reformed. And I hope he stays a member of Raptors Uprising for a long time to come. But if he doesn't, no one out there should be concerned about who he is as a person, or a teammate outside of the game, because he's really grown a lot.
Yeah, man, it's been a couple years,
Awesome
but
2K
definitely
case
Type
study.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was definitely a homie, man. A lot of good vibes with Type. Let me sneak a question in there too. Sam, what's the wildest game that you feel like you've been a part of in your coaching endeavors? Like regardless of it's the Bucks or the Raptors, what's the wildest game you think you've taken part in?
So if I look at a couple of the ones this year, obviously with the Raptors, but if we look at the whole spectrum, probably the wildest game was it was a Bucks season 3 game where I think Reg had 50 points and like 20 something assists, and then A Rooks also had 50 points, and then Plondo had a triple double. That was probably the wildest game I've ever seen. And I want
Yeah,
to
I
tell you it
remember
was
that.
coaching, but it was just it made no like A Rook set the all time record for threes in that game. He made 17, and then they were the
Yeah,
first backcourt ever to score 100 points combined. It just everything all happened in one game in like a 24-minute span. It was just too much. It was just way too much offense. It didn't feel like it was real. That was probably the craziest game when your backcourt scores 50, 100 combined, and then your center has a triple double.
Was that
That
season
was
three?
ridiculous.
Was that during the season we had our perfect
Reg,
season?
yes, Reg rookie season 3. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that stretch because we were setting
that's
scoring
wild.
records, and then Mama set like a scoring
yeah, you
record,
guys,
and then
yeah.
you guys set a scoring record. It was like the offense was
Back
just
and
going
forth, yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
I think season 3 to this day was like where the point guard scored the most compared to all the seasons. That was the year where like if you have a point
Definitely.
guard that can score, it would just do all of the work. But ever since that, the game has been changing. It's more team based now. But yeah, that would be the craziest game. It's just too much happening all at once.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, ping pong back to me. Sam, give us an honest take here. Even if the league is listening, if you could change something about the NBA 2K League, what would you change?
I would help. I would definitely push the league to grow their YouTube channel more because right now they post majority of their content during the season, which would be like March to August, which is like the lowest viewership season in 2K. But the highest is
Mhm.
currently late August all the way to December. And the league don't post any videos during that time. I mean, like they post some, but they don't post the more popular content, which is like your build videos, your tutorials. And the league has a whole player base, right? I would like to see the league, get someone to help the players make the videos and have a direction where it's like, hey, maybe we can take the top point guard, shooting guard, lock, power forward, center of the league, and then have each of them just cover build videos, shooting videos, and then go from there. Help those guys, you know, get into the community, make people recognize, oh, these are the top guys playing that position, and then from there transition into the season starting. So the players, so the viewers get help from our professional players, and at the same time they want to see them compete against each other. I would say that's sitting right there for the league. They just gotta get someone and then get the players together and then start cranking out content from September to December. Should be
Whoever
at
could
least
that
like
someone be,
60
Sam?
videos.
Whoever could that
Can't be me.
someone be?
I'm doing that for a rap, so it can't be me.
Well, BD Matt Arden, if you want to get into a bidding war, Sam Pham has officially given you a good idea, and he may be the man for the job. Um, Phil, back to
Because
you.
one note I want to make, like one note I want to make to that question, because the biggest thing, like I know I bring up Agent a lot, but like Agent started out just making build videos, but he has grown to a point where like it's a real social influencer. Same thing with Duke and all the other guys. The league can do that. We have the players with the skills. They just need the platform and they need the content. So we gotta get them together and make all the content on the 2K League channel, which already it's got like I think 80,000 subscribers. So got to be growing that, especially during September.
Yeah, I'm surprised Bear hasn't blown up more. Like you said, he's doing one of the better jobs from my POV of creating content. Not that I watch all the videos, but I see the promo, I see the thumbnails, and I know his personality. Like back in season 2 when he debuted, I remember one of my colleagues at that point being like, "Man, he is like a heel in wrestling in WWE," and it's like he does these live takes and he never misses a beat, and you think he's speaking at such a fast clip and he's just so creative in the things that he's saying. You figure he's going to get tongue tied at some point and he's going to mess up, and he just never did. Like, he has the personality, he has the in-game success. I'm surprised he hasn't blown up more than he has already, and I'm reasonably confident that there's a path for him to do so if he just had the right kind of support around him.
Right, the formula at the end of the day for 2K has it's always been a group. So like the two hype guys, that's a group of five. AMP guys, that's also a big group. Even from the tutorial and like us from 2K Labs, we're still a group. It's just it's too much to do alone. And when you do all of the work alone, you kind of miss out on the quality. Because that's just how it is. Because you're doing so much. Like if Bear has a group around him, he can lighten the load a little bit more, so his personality can shine through more,
That's an interesting
which is
take.
the biggest part.
Yeah, like get like Mama, Bear, like some of the bigger personalities from 2K
Right.
League history to kind of form a collective. Yeah, there you go. Bear, Mama, if you happen to be listening to this, maybe we'll clip this and put it on Twitter, and it'll have more likely better chance of getting to you.
My
Uh,
idea.
there's a thought. Sam Pham's going to be your
I'd like to
CEO.
see that. Get
Let
down with
them
that.
know they can't do it without me because I can do all the editing and all the content direction,
There you go,
which is
guys. And
very
all Sam
important.
wants is equity.
Big brain play, big brain play. Let me hit you with one last one. I know we talk a lot of 2K here, obviously, but are there any other like sports or esports you're into aside from 2K?
Shameless self promotion plug. I actually really like playing RPGs, so I don't post a lot of content on my, 2K content on my channel anymore, but I post all of my RPG content on my channel. I like doing player builds. I like studying gameplay mechanics. So, esports, I'm all 2K because that's my job. So I can't really look
Yep.
at all other ones. But on the side, other games I like playing, I would like to play your usual RPGs like your your Ghost of Tsushima. I like to mess with gameplay mechanics and then also just how to create, OP builds on those, which translates well into some of my 2K stuff. So RPGs, I'm like Cyberpunk and all that. Those games I'm big on.
Shout out, check out Sam's RPG YouTube. And oh, I don't know if you guys heard that on your end, but that's my doorbell. You know what that means? My chicken salad has
Food.
arrived. One sec.
This guy beats me every time.
Every time.
California.
It's amazing how it
Oh, look
happens.
at that.
UberEats always coming through with the delicious food. Shout out UberEats again for sponsoring the podcast. Sam, it's been
Of
awesome to
course.
catch up with you, man. It's been too long since we had a long conversation. In this case, we get to do it in a bit more of a public forum. But I learned a couple new things today. Hopefully, the audience did as well, and we got some spicy takes. Phil, I'll throw to you to do the professional host outro because that's what you do much better than I.
No, you're perfectly fine, Shane. Obviously, ordering food is easier for you. Uber Eats definitely favoring you, but I know mine's on the way, so we're definitely going to go ahead and get out of here. Sam Fam, thank you so much for joining us, my guy. Appreciate your insight. And we obviously have a lot of things to look forward to in the future, and best of luck to you and the rest of the Raptors Uprising squad in getting the job done in the ticket and other future ventures for the season. From myself, Shane, you already know, everyone here in the Raptors facility, Uber Eats, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching episode number 8, and we'll catch you on the next one.